Starfield is trash, and its main story is obviously no different at all. I personally think it was written by a 10-year-old, but let's see.
Starfield has the worst main story ever, and I truly, absolutely, 100% mostly mean that.
We have a lot to talk about. We're all here because we're committed to the biggest question of all. What's out there?
That's a stupid question, that's for one. Two, I think their biggest cause is just how they can write the same uninspired, bland, boring, shallow personality and predictable character 6 times in a row. That's honestly, I think, what their commitment is. Nice.
It's nonsensical, it's short but long, and honestly it flies in the face of everything that Starfield pretends to be. So let's talk about it. Number 1, Constellation is a vapid and lazy organization that only exists to serve the player and makes no sense. Let me ask you something. What does Constellation do? Seriously.
The Explorers Group?
Dude, I hate the Constellation so much, because this was the first ultimate just flaw how bad the writing is, okay? Because at the very start, you can already gouge the fact that this Constellation is this group of, well, something really, really cool. But what it is, no one knows. They're explorers. They explore what exactly? There's nothing out there in the universe, and we know that. It makes absolutely no sense. They try to create this era of mysticism around them, and it just completely shatters when you see the first dude who says, well, I'm gonna be a miner instead of you, so you go out in space. And the game doesn't even try to sell you the idea that you want to be a part of Constellation. It doesn't allow you to question why you're in this group, why this group is here, why this group is good, how does it function. None of those things are even remotely questionable.
Thought they were kind of a joke.
Do they explore brave new worlds that nobody's ever seen before? Well, no, because you're limited to exploring the settled systems, which have outposts and old abandoned mines and refineries literally around every corner. Do they find and catalog new species of alien life? Well, no, because it doesn't seem like they have any data on creatures from any planet, much less the ones outside the door on their own. Seriously, I've come up with nothing that they could have possibly been doing for the 40 years that they've supposedly been in existence.
This is Space 1999, Eagle 1 spaceship.
Alpha Control, we have contact.
You can jettison the cockpit and engines, then link them up. It's Mini Eagle 1 in visual contact.
Alpha Control hookup is a go!
Constellation doesn't exist to find and discover new things, it exists for the player to find and discover new things to them. And that would be fine if in the lore Constellation hadn't been around for decades. So what I've just said highlights a big problem with the game, but how do you fix it? Well, I'm here to tell you. It's honestly rather...
I actually never thought about it. It's true. What's the excitement, what's the point of being in a group of people that have essentially done nothing for decades? They have not gotten a single thing done in decades, and that's supposed to be exciting? No, not really, if you think about it.
They're simple. Instead of making Constellation this super old organization that's been around for years but hasn't accomplished anything, you make them a new organization that has to recruit people so that you can discover something. At the start of the game, you're approached by Barrett, who touched one of those ancient artifacts that you yourself had just handled, and it gave you both visions of something mysterious. But after that, everything just immediately falls apart because Barrett just gives you his ship and his robot and says, okay, go and find Constellation. They'll tell you exactly what to do.
Let's go!
Yeah, this is the most stupidest thing ever. Because, keep in mind, Constellation's rich. Money is not a problem for Constellation for some stupid reason. So, the fact that this guy needs to be a miner and can't just pay off whatever money that these poor schmucks would be making is insane. Okay? His actions here are as stupid as they honestly come.
Get her to the lodge. No deviations unless absolutely necessary, okay?
while he just screws off and goes and talks to some pirates, leading to you having to go save him later, but to find out that he's just made friends with the pirates, so who cares? It's at the part of the game where you all of a sudden get a ship and are told to go to New Atlantis, and you can choose to do that and follow the main story, or you could just go and do whatever you want. But the way it's presented really tries to goad the player into going and continuing the main story. You have Vasco as a companion who's going to be telling you, go to New Atlantis and go meet Constellation. You have a ship that's from Constellation, it belongs to them still, and you've essentially just stole it if you don't go and bring it back to them. And that's fine if you want to roleplay as a pirate or a scumbag, but if you're anyone with any sense of moral obligation, you're probably going to go and take it back to them. At that point, you meet Sarah Morgan, who's like the navigator.
Sense of moral obligation in returning the ship to Constellation because they... That never crossed my mind. Huh. Interesting. Are you actually compelled by that? I understand a sense of obligation works like that in the real world. It's a very, very prolific manipulation tool for humans. But in the game? Does that also work into account? I never thought about it. Huh.
Of Constellation, who explains to you that Constellation has been around forever and they explore new and unidentified things in the universe, except they don't, as we've previously discussed. So when you start a new game, you're thrust into this group of Constellation, an organization that's been around for decades but hasn't really done anything. You've got a bunch of people in this house just sitting around doing absolutely nothing, waiting for the player to show up for eternity. So I propose, instead of making Constellation an old organization, make it a new one. Have Barrett and Sarah be interested in learning more about these artifacts and wanting to create a group to find something that's unknown in the galaxy. You've now got both the player and Barrett who have touched these artifacts and have been given visions about something mysterious and nobody knows what it is. So in order to find out what it is, you need more people with different areas of expertise. So the first act of the game would then be going and finding these people and recruiting them. You would get a list of potential recruits.
Ah, yes, making a team. A classic.
It would give the player agency to choose where they want to go and who they want to recruit first. Every character would have their own unique recruitment side quests on different planets, and it would serve to flesh out both the characters and the world. All with the end.
That would actually be pretty good. Imagine, you get this main quest and it's like, okay, you need to recruit these 5 specializations, but you're not locked into which order you actually get these people in. So you get to choose what you think is more important, you know? It's like a mini game almost. Do you think a person who understands computers is more important, or the biology guy, or whatever? You know, that would be kind of nice. That would be a nice touch.
The goal of everybody combining their unique skill sets so that you can go further in discovering what these artifacts are. Really, I just want the game to be One Piece in space. No.
Yep, pretty much.
Not that
That's
one.
Good.
Never that one.
No,
So by
it's
the end of
always
Act
that
1,
one.
you've actively recruited all the crew you're going to need and gotten to know them. You have a navigator, a scientist, an expert on universal religion. You've acquired funding from a corporate sponsor. You even have a cowboy and a toaster. It's perfect. You're ready to go off and make new discoveries.
Admittedly, at some point you're looking for the place you insert the fork into the toaster so you can end it. But, you know, that's fine.
Holden's new Billy Blastoff. Now he walks.
That's Billy's jet.
The jetpack on Billy's back powers his lunar crawler, runs the space mobile, drives the moon tractor, and makes Billy Blastoff walk.
Bro, how many of you have gotten a toy when you were kids, like at Christmas or whatever, by your parents, and it's like, oh my god, a new toy, this is amazing! You're like happy and shit. And it's one of those toys that can actually produce something, but it needs batteries, and obviously your fucking parents have not gotten the batteries, so you need to go and skim the remote. Man, bruh, how do you buy these things? How did you not? You're an adult. How the fuck did you not learn by the 5th time that this happens? That maybe you should buy the goddamn batteries, okay? How is this even real life? And then your parents can't buy you the goddamn batteries forever. It's like it's horrible.
Billy Blastoff. Now
And when you get the batteries, it's obviously kind of lame and shit. But still. At least you don't have to get asked by your parents every 5 minutes. And you take the batteries from the remote and you're like, no. Then how does this thing work? Magic. Bruh.
He walks.
Part 2. There are no discoveries to be made in this entire universe. Every single planet that you land on and explore has already had people on it. There's either an old mining facility, there's an outpost with a trader on it, there's random ships landing when you're just exploring the wilderness.
There's probably pirates. There's probably a trillion pirate bases everywhere. How do the pirates not own the universe? I don't know.
And that's all awesome stuff, but it means you're not discovering anything new because dozens to hundreds to possibly thousands of people have already seen all this. Aside from finding a few recycled planetary traits, there are no non-man-made discoveries aside from some plants and animals that all look the same on every planet. Sure, you can see a glacial rock, but then you go 3 planets over and you find the exact same one. And then it's usually about half a kilometer away from somebody's house, so was it really a new discovery, or was it just new to you? So you've got this world that wants you to scan and find new things, but everything that you see has already been found by somebody else. And then you have a main story that wants you to discover a new thing in a world where you can't discover new things. Do you see why this kind of makes no sense? All right. So you've got these artifacts, right? And nobody knows what they are. Nobody's ever seen them before, except you find most of them in mines, or you get one from some guy who collected one. And I guess just nobody ever saw one of these before or thought to catalog it or talk about it. I mean, I guess that makes sense because nobody ever bothered cataloging the coral bugs on the capital planet of the United Colonies. Or maybe Wikipedia is just down in this universe perpetually. Like maybe not enough people donated and it actually ceased operations. That could explain everything. So you've got these...
There's no way politicians are not gonna donate to Wikipedia in the future or in the past. To make their Wikipedia pages good enough and look good and make things that they don't like vanish. Because if you did not know, yeah, that's how Wikipedia actually, gets its funding. People just donate to it, so Wikipedia erases things that people don't like and companies don't like. And well, when you're a big corporation, there's a lot of things that you have probably done that you don't want people figuring out you have done or being written in the most common place. People are going to look you up.
Alien artifacts that I guess everybody has just been ignoring, and you're the first person to ever think, I wonder what these are. And you've conveniently just got this gigantic telescope that will tell you exactly where to find more.
Also, you know what I don't understand about the story? One, because I didn't play the story. Fuck that, I'm not that retarded, okay? So, I don't know what happens when you touch the second artifact. Do you get a vision? Does everyone get a vision when they touch the artifact thing? Because keep in mind, no one seems to understand what these artifacts are, but everyone's touching them left, right, and center. So, are you the special Dragonborn? Because only you get visions when you touch them? Do you get a vision when you touch the second one? I don't know, because again, I haven't played the game. Storyline. It's stupid. Playing the game is stupid enough already, but I did not play the storyline past... I don't know, maybe the 4th quest or something? I seriously did not play a lot of the story. But yeah, how are people just constantly touching this shit and getting visions of God and no one's even, making any questions about it? How does that make sense?
Of them. As a side note, again, going back to the first part, it would have been really cool if on your mission to recruit Vladimir, maybe you go and find an upgraded version of the old Hubble telescope that's still orbiting Earth and you retrofit it so that you can find these artifacts. That would be really cool. Instead of it just sitting there for 40
Oh no, seems like that technology would be pretty dumb and old by that time though.
years and nobody doing anything with it. So you find these artifacts and they take you to these ancient temples that are obviously not man-made, and you have to find out who built these things and what do they do? What does it all mean? And you look over to the...
Dude, the fact that gravity is clearly out of whack here is so stupid, by the way. obviously this is just meant to be an aesthetic touch, but the thing about that is they would, if gravity is out of whack in only this place, though these temples would have been found in a split second when people just go even near the planet, because they would detect that, wait a minute, something's pretty funky with the gravity right here in this specific location, on this very specific. It would be so easy. It would be so ridiculously easy to notice. And this is already in the Starfield universe, because you scan planets. It shows you how much gravity there is and shit like that. So yeah, these temples would have been found so fast it's not even funny. These temples would be one of the first thing that probably would be found when, you know, the Starfield universe humans would start to colonizing the universe. There is no. It is the dumbest. It is the dumbest plot hole ever.
Right, and you see a giant crane and a settlement and people just
Also that probably also kind of, you know, it is what it is.
hanging around. Hey guys, do you see those floating rocks over there? You ever been over there? You ever wondered what those are?
It's actually so
you're
funny.
Just here to mine argon? Okay. I mean, I get it. That's the job, but, you know.
Also, just look at it. Even if you're blind, you probably notice this, right?
But, you know.
Yeah, even if you're blind, you probably notice that.
But, you know.
How can you not notice that? Because there's literally nothing on this planet. There's not even enough rocks on this planet. How would you ever not notice this?
Oh, floating rocks, ancient aliens, discovery! So you've got these ancient temples that are on planets that are populated by people, and everybody has just seemingly ignored. And that's fine if they had no mineral resources to offer, but you'd think that somebody at the science outpost that's like 300 meters away would go and like knock on the rock and be like, wow, this is really weird and not like any element I've ever seen. I should probably study it. Oh my god, they're on like every single planet. What the hell is going on? But no, everybody's just like researching ice or some shit. And like these temples are seemingly undefended too. Like there's nothing stopping you from just going inside and seeing what's in there.
Also, considering I have seen how the story ends and people talk about new game, you know what's the stupidest part about this? So there are these Starborn that essentially want to also get these artifacts and stupid shit like that. But the artifact locations are always exactly the same in every universe. You can be new game +1, you can be new game +200 trillion, and still the artifacts would be in the exact same location as previously. These temples are set in stone. They will never move. They will never change location. So that's kind of stupid also.
I guess maybe it wouldn't open for you, but like you could at least scan it or do something. Or maybe somebody would find an artifact in one of the identical mines that you go to on every planet and be like, oh, this looks like the giant floating temple rock place that I saw. I wonder if it's connected. So when you're playing Starfield, it makes you feel like everybody is ignoring the giant floating rock elephant in the room. Like it's actually impossible to miss. And just like before, I have a solution. Put aliens in the game. Seriously, aliens would solve pretty much every issue with Starfield.
You're already borrowing so much from No Man's Sky, Mass Effect, and all those other sci-fi.
It's gonna be an expansion. It's gonna be the genetic expansion where you have to save the universe from aliens. I think that's gonna be the new expansion, by the way. I'm not even kidding. Because with how horribly, creatively bankrupt, sad, and bad Starfield is in every possible aspect, you need it just makes sense that the expansion is also gonna be the absolutely most straightforward arrow thing in the universe, okay? It's gonna be as straightforward and simple as it can be, okay? Any nuance, out the window. Any form of complexity, yeet then delete, boys. It's gonna be the most generic shit ever, and I'm gonna love every second of it, I'm not gonna lie. I love ripping on Starfield so much it's not even funny. I think I'm addicted, honestly, at this point.
properties, why not just go the whole mile? Just put some aliens in. You can have your reptile race, you can have your elf race, you can just copy Elder Scrolls.
Is he advocating for a lusty Argonian maid in Starfield? Is he doing that? I don't know.
That's fine.
Maybe.
Because when you just have a bunch of humans running around and ignoring the obvious alien temples, it doesn't make sense. But if you have different alien species in the game that are sapient, that have their own architecture and culture and all this stuff, it inherently just makes more sense that you would ignore some things that you find. Because for all you know, you're just walking into some alien's outhouse. And then it gives the narrative writers for the game the ability to write lore for these different temples so that you kind of know what you're getting into. So humanity knows what they are, but doesn't necessarily know the reason for their existence, and they seem completely inert, so they just kind of ignore them. That is until you find this ancient artifact that actually unlocks something. You know, have a reason for Joe Blow at the cryo facility to not care about the floating rocks that are 400 feet away. Or maybe at these temples, they're just too dangerous to explore, and sometimes people do go and try to find some ancient alien treasure that's there, but there's traps and there's these ancient alien threats that will try to kill you if you go anywhere near them. You know, something interesting like the Dwemer from Skyrim, but in space. Oh, so you just want it to be like Elder Scrolls then, eh? Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not the biggest Skyrim fan, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, I did play it for 50 hours. I have played Starfield for not even 9 hours, and I was completely done with this garbage fucking game because of the experience was so shit. But Elder Scrolls, again, I think it just I just think it serves enough to say, yeah, Elder Scrolls is not not Elder Scrolls, but Skyrim was not that bad of a game. Yeah, it was shallow, it was repetitive in some situations. It wasn't all that great all around. It's not a 10 out of 10 banger, but even as someone who didn't enjoy it particularly that greatly, I still spent roughly 50 hours in that game. That means it's at least playable, unlike Starfield. So yeah, if we got Skyrim in space, I would complain way less.
Was fun. I like fun games. But there isn't any interesting lore. The game doesn't even answer its own questions by the end of it. It just kind of leaves everything up to your own interpretation,
obviously,
which would be good if there was anything to interpret. Did some sort of ancient aliens create these artifacts and temples? Did one version of humanity create this technology in a different universe that allowed them to traverse the multiverse? I don't know. So I guess that what I'm trying to say is that in order to make like a compelling narrative, you need to have some sort of lore in the background that's already been discovered that you can read through and experience as you play the game, or you need to uncover something that gives you a satisfying answer by the end of it. And that answer can be ambiguous. It doesn't need to be like, okay, aliens made it. You can kind of leave it up to interpretation, but there needs to be something there. Instead, the answer is, we don't know, but here's a kind of cool New Game Plus feature that No Man's Sky already did. And I'm not taking away from the idea of the New Game Plus. I think it's actually kind of cool, but everything leading up to it doesn't make me want to go back and play.
The New Game Plus is kind of stupid. It just takes away all the things that you have found, leaves you with the same stats that you have, and makes it abundantly clear that not a single fucking choice you made in this game matters. Nothing, not a single one of your poorly made choices matters at all. It's all meaningless at the end.
The game again in that New Game Plus. Why would I want to experience this story again that has no twists and turns, nothing interesting, no real choices besides like one of the companions dying or the other? When you start New Game Plus, they even give you the option to completely skip the story and just be like, hey, I'm from another universe, I'm gonna go gather these artifacts. And everybody's like, okay, let's go do that. And then you just do the most boring part of the game over and over again. You find an artifact in a mine. You find an artifact in a laboratory. You find an unguarded temple on a planet. Okay, well, to be fair, there's one Starborn guarding it. Okay, sorry, I guess I haven't mentioned Starborn yet. Basically, Starborn are... What are Starborn? See, this is what I'm saying. There's no interesting lore. Like, I get it. Starborn are supposed to be people from other universes that have already collected all the artifacts, and they're going to try to collect more.
Now this is the thing with Starborn, right? It kind of does make sense that you know, okay, you have collected all the artifacts and you have traveled to a different universe. Congratulations, you're Starborn now. But why the fuck do you get a ship? Suddenly when you're Starborn? Why do you suddenly just get this crazy, weird-looking ship that makes absolutely no sense in this universe? And why do you get these items? It's like, how does this make sense? You just collected a bunch of artifacts and transcended to a new universe starting from point A again. Why do you just magically get these things out of nowhere? How does that make a single shred of sense?
More so they can gain more power. But that's it? There's no grand plan to any of this? What's the end goal to this? Nobody seems to know.
To meet the demands of a long space flight, space food sticks had to be a compact, nutritious, high-energy food. That's why they make the perfect between-meal energy snack. Chocolate, caramel, and peanut butter. About 44 calories. At your grocer's next to the instant breakfast section. Space Food Sticks, the energy snack from U.S. Aerospace Research and Pillsbury.
Part 3. Nobody seems to know or care about anything.
Yep.
Why should I be invested in a main story when even the main antagonist...
Dude. I watched another video where someone actually dissected, not plot points, but just one part of the main story. This game just falls apart when you look at anything even remotely deep. And that guy looked into the main story, and it was on Neon, where the old dude is buying the artifact or something from some kind of tug on Neon. And before anything starts, he explicitly says two things, because you have dialogues and things like that, and he's like, okay, so we're gonna go talk to this guy, and money doesn't matter, however much he asks, we can pay him. I'm fucking rich, Money, I can drown you in money, dude. I wipe my ass with diamonds, okay? I wipe my ass with Rolexes. Okay, so that's one. And two is, well, no matter what happens, we're taking this artifact. Okay? It doesn't matter how we get it at the end of the day, as long as we get it. So, these are these two things. And when the conversation starts with the guy, you blatantly, everything else told to you by that guy 30 seconds ago gets thrown out the window. The Neon Tug asks for more money, and that guy's like, what do you mean more money? Why do you want more money? Bro, we didn't even think about this. And then you get to chip in, and it's like, okay, and all of your outcomes are pretty much, no, we're not going to give you more money. And when you try violence, the same guy who said we need to get this no matter what, is like, no, we can't have violence. I'm not going to kill anyone. No, this is not worth it. The story can't even make itself coherent for more than 2 minutes. Again, everything he said previously before you actually started the conversation with the Doug guy is thrown out the window, made irrelevant, and even worse, made into a useless lie. It's so sad.
Don't seem to care about whether they succeed at their goals or not. Because the two antagonists that you meet in the game don't give a crap what happens. One shows up and threatens you, the other one shows up and attacks you. And then they call a truce, then you talk to them, and one says, hey, I'm a good guy because I threatened you before attacking you. And the other one says, hey, I don't really care, I just do whatever I want, so I attacked you.
The emissary threatened your ship. Demanded you hand over your artifact. How is that so different from what I did?
That other guy is really a bad guy because he wants to do the same things that I do, but he decided that he would not do them first and then ask if he could do them and then just do it anyways no matter what. Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh, and their armor is black and white. It's like there's a clear evil and good choice. I love having choices in the game. Morality scales. Okay, that's not true. There is the obligatory third choice where you just say f them.
No, there's actually no choice in this game also. You don't have a choice. There's no way that a mission ends up differently than Bethesda intended. All of your choices, no matter how you make them, what you make, lead to only one outcome that cannot be changed no matter what. And this is why this is one of the poor... Well, this is why it's currently the worst writing that, Bethesda has.
Them both, which is the choice that 98% of players are going to choose. Because black and white morality choices are stupid and not interesting. So you choose to say screw both of these guys and you're going to do everything on your own and you're not going to let them accomplish their goal of collecting all the artifacts and becoming more powerful. They just say, okay, whatever, we'll go have a duel later once you've collected all the artifacts. We can wait. None of this really matters to us. We've done this 1,000 times already. Wow, you're really making this feel important. Like, why do I care about any of this? Nobody's gonna blow up the universe. These guys don't even seem like they care about collecting the artifacts and whether or not they're successful. Existence and their one calling has lost all meaning to them. And you're flat out told that you're doing the same thing that they are. So what does anything mean to you? What is the reason for wanting to complete this main storyline? Hell, even in the final showdown, if you have a high enough speech level, you can just say, hey, will you let me have all the artifacts this time? Because neither of you care anyways. And they just give them to you, and that's where the main story ends. You just walk up to them and...
This was a faint and stupid attempt at doing a Lanius fight, essentially, where you can convince Lanius that, this is not worth it. Now, the difference, obviously, between this and Lanius is that this is written horribly, but the Legatus Lanius is written very well. And that is because, well, you need 100% speech to do this. 2, even after the speech gets passed, you still can actually tell him things that are like, nah, actually, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you all anyway. That's how it goes, okay? Even though you pass a speech check in Fallout New Vegas, you can tell him the wrong thing, and he's gonna be like, nah, I'm impaling you now. And it's great. And that's actually good writing. And the dialogue doesn't seem autistic, which is also great, obviously.
Say, pretty please, can I have some alien artifacts?
And again, mandatory reminder that the best Bethesda game ever made, Fallout New Vegas, was not made by Bethesda. That just proves how good of a game development studio Bethesda is. That their crowning jewel, the unquestionably best Bethesda game ever, was not made by Bethesda.
Give them to you and then they go away. Like, what is that? There's no payoff to any of it. So you end the main storyline by choosing whether or not you want to go into another universe. And if you do, it starts like a New Game Plus mode where you get the super fancy ship and armor and stuff, but all your possessions and credits and everything that you've accrued throughout your playtime goes away. And the ship that you get is kind of cool, but it doesn't have any crafting stations on it or beds, so you can't like sleep and wait if you land on a planet and it's like pitch black out at night. You go exploring on this random planet, but you have to go fast travel somewhere else because you have no weapon modification stations if you find something new and cool. And being totally honest, the New Game Plus feature, while kind of interesting, flies in the face of everything that Bethesda does well as a studio, which is having your character be very important and making a difference in the universe that they're in. And that's no exception in Starfield. In Starfield, you can go and save entire cities, you can go and form relationships with people, get married, all this stuff. And then at the end of the main storyline, they just want you to say, okay, bye, I don't care about any of you. I'm just going to go restart everything and do whatever I want. And that's fine if you don't care about the main story or any of the characters or you want to do different choices. But if you make a story-driven RPG, you kind of want players to care about those things. What I'm saying is the entire storyline of Starfield goes against everything that Bethesda does well and highlights its flaws. It feels like there were two separate teams with different design philosophies creating the game. One was creating a nice handcrafted Bethesda RPG experience where your choices somewhat matter, you make some relationships, and you change the universe for good or worse.
I love how the fact, the fact that Starfield is so bad makes us appreciate things more. Like, Fallout 4 wasn't the worst game. It was at least fun, but it didn't have these, meaningful... well, it had meaningful choices, but, there was a Fallout 4 left a lot to be begged for, right? But man, you play Starfield and suddenly Fallout 4 is a really good game. Wow. You play something like Starfield and suddenly so many things, you appreciate them just more because you understand, wow, at least they're not Starfield.
And the other one said, okay, we just want players to be able to go through this content over and over and over and over again, and we need to get them there as fast as we can, without any care as to whether or not the storyline in the game made sense or interacted well with the rest of the game. Oh, I didn't touch on the Starborn either. I have an idea for that too. So, you know how the Starborn are just like people from other universes that collected all the artifacts and now they're going to different universes trying to collect all of them so they get more powerful? Why was that not a pseudo online component? And I know people hate hearing about like online components and their single player RPGs and all that stuff, but I'm not really thinking about it in like a Fallout 76 sense. This is more of an idea for something like Dark Souls, for example. What if the Starborn, instead of just being random people that disappear when you shoot them, what if they were actual player builds from other universes? You know, players that had completed the game and then they get their player data uploaded and then you randomly run into other players' characters when you're playing the game. That could be really interesting.
I mean, I honestly think it would be the exact same character constantly, but it is what it is.
Because you're constantly running into people that have different weapons, different armor, different builds, different everything every time you play it. You know, kind of like combining invasions from Dark Souls or Elden Ring with something like the Nemesis system from Shadow of War. So you're walking around exploring or trying to find an artifact or something, all of a sudden another ship appears, right? And a player is inside there. You know it's a player's character. The player isn't actually playing, but it's got that player's character build, their model, and all their loot, so you know that you're in for a potentially really tough battle, but it probably has some really good loot.
Okay. With gravity like this, how many of you would try to run over in real life and jump over this? Man, because I think I could. I think I could breach this gap, in this way. I really think I could. I'm tall. My sprint is really good. I think I can make this jump. And best part is, with gravity like this, I wouldn't even die if I failed. Probably. That's a problem for future me, though. But in any case, yeah, I think and this is why men live less long than women.
Character. The player isn't actually playing, but it's got that player's character build, their model, and all their loot, so you know that you're in for a potentially really tough battle, but it probably has some really good loot and rewards at the end. And you kind of get that pseudo-social experience, where you know that your player character could be appearing in other people's universes. Maybe you get like a notification when another player defeats your character or something like that. Something fun and cool and innovative that isn't just shooting people that die and don't drop any loot. God, I hate this main story so much. It drives me insane. So those are my thoughts.
So they don't even drop loot? That's pretty funny.
On the Starfield main story, you can go down in the comments to yell and scream at me. I don't really care. I always assume you're 12.
Here's how the story goes.
That's smart. That is smart. I am Patty Jack. What a babe. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye bye.